Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is part 16 on my wig collection. I just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of my makeup as I usually do, and then we'll get on to the wigs. We are onto the final tub that I have now, but don't worry, there is more to come. I've got some on the way and I've got some new ones that aren't part of this to show as well. So I'll start off with my makeup. I'm just wearing the Urban Decay One and Done on my face because I wanted something that was quick and easy. I haven't made much of an effort with my makeup today because I'm not feeling particularly great. I've got Wig Cosmetics on my lips, and I've also used the new Mood palette on my eyes, which is Beauty Bay's own brand, and I've put a little bit of Hocus Pocus by Peaches Cosmetics in the centre to give it a little bit of dimension, and brows are P. Louise and Pink Honey as per usual. So yeah, let's get started. The first one I have here is another Kesh one. It's called Gothic Lolita. It's a black wig with a pink fringe. It's not a lace front. I did have two like this. I had this one, and then I had one that was, it had a blonde fringe as well. The blonde fringe one didn't really suit me, so I got rid of that. But the pink one I really like. It's got that little bit of pink that just goes down there. It is the skin top, so again, they're not my favourites, but they're great for costumes. So this one I would keep for Halloween. Not that there's anything wrong with it personally, it's just my preference. But it's a really nice wig. This one I got because I wanted to see what I'd look like with crazy curly hair. And I've used this one a few times for various costumes. My main one that I used it for was for Sandy from Greece. This one doesn't have a lace front. I do like the fact that it's got roots. It does make it look a little bit more natural. The hairline around here is slightly fuzzy, which weirdly enough makes it look more realistic because it just looks like baby hairs at the front. It is kind of big and crazy. You can make it bigger because you can play with the curls and fluff it out a little bit. You can also tame it down if you want. There's plenty of potential for things to do with this wig. I don't think I would have my hair like this every day, but it is fun for costumes. I'm not sure where that one came from. I got it from an individual seller. It looks like it might be Amazon or somewhere like that. This is from a seller that I haven't mentioned before. It's the only one I've got by them, but I'd love to get some more. I tend to buy a lot of my wigs sort of pre-loved though, and these ones don't come up very often. This is by a company in the UK called AnnabelleWigs.co.uk. The caps do run slightly large on them, but you can adjust them. This is just a pink one with a fringe. Annabelle Wigs is known particularly for doing sort of retro looking wigs and 40s, 50s, that kind of thing, which I really love, because I like any kind of retro style. The fringe was already trimmed by the previous owner, which is great because it's about the same size as I would wear mine anyway. It's a really nice quality wig. It looks different in different lights. It is definitely pink, but in some lights it looks more red, especially in photographs. It's just a nice wig to just put on. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. You can use heat on it, so you can curl the fringe under a little bit more if you wanted a bit more of a retro look with it. This is another Shine Chien wig. I have got one of these. You've seen it before. The last one was in orange. This is the same wig but in black, and it's basically a beehive, so we're staying along the retro theme here. So this is quite a large high beehive to this one. The fringe on this can be moved around. I would personally straighten it a little bit more. I think I have trimmed it slightly. I'm not quite sure what to do with the fringe because it's a little bit all over the place. I tend to try and sweep it over sort of like that and then just curl it under a little bit with the straighteners because it is heat resistant. And you could put a comb on there, or you could leave it as it is. It is a bit crazy. It does need styling when you put it on to get it right, because you need to get the bangs right, and you also need to get it to sit right because it's got that large sort of beehive bump to it. But it does look really nice when it's worked properly, especially with retro makeup. This one is a cosplay one, not lace front, neither was the other one. This one that I got for doing a Coraline cosplay, which I haven't actually got around to doing yet, but I now have the yellow MAC and I now have the wig, and so that might have to be one of the ones for Halloween this year. It's actually quite a nice indigo, so I really like the shade. It's got that longer fringe, which I kept because if I'm going to do it as Coraline, I want to put the slide in it like she has in her hair to pin it back. But I'm going to do kind of like a more human version of her, I think. This one has been on and off the keep pile for quite some time. Sometimes I want to sell it, other times I don't. I really like the unusual colour to it. It's kind of like a moonlight blue. It is grey, but it's like a grey blue. There's a lot of grey. There's a lot of blue tones in it, which I quite like. It started off long and I've cut it a couple of times until I've cut it into a shorter style. And it's got quite a full fringe on it. It didn't have the full fringe when I originally did it, and it was a lot longer, but it was also curly as well and looked quite ridiculous. So I've managed to straighten it quite a lot into like a little bob, and I do kind of like it now, so I've kept it. I've got another Hay Space Milk one here, another one that I got in the Lucky Dip. It's a little bit like the other one I showed you, the Love Thing one, except it's brown with those blonde bits in instead of red. It sits really nicely on. I like the fringe on this one because it does go nicely to the side and doesn't flop all over in my face. The only thing I do need to do when I wear it sometimes is to make sure I've got the top pressed down, because sometimes with these wigs, not just from there but from anywhere, these ones have a tendency to bump a little, but nothing that can't be sorted out. But yeah, that's really pretty. I like that one. I've just had a look on the tag and it's called Holler. This is one by Lush Wigs again. It's a short grey one. I think this one is called Moon Rock from what I remember. It's a nice little short grey wig with waves in it. It does take a bit of playing with to get it to sit nicely sometimes. It's got darker roots, which I believe I put in myself, just to give it a more natural look, because I think it was very grey at the top and the sort of contrast to the rest of it didn't suit it. So what I did was I just used a Sharpie to colour the roots a little bit, just to give it a more sort of toned look. But it's a very cute little style. Sometimes the curls do need playing and teasing to make them look better, and when I wash it, it bounces back really well. This is Lush Wigs Mono. It's a really straight style with darkened roots. The fringe has been trimmed a little bit so that it sits better on my head, because it was a little bit longer and it was going in my eyes. But it's quite a natural looking one. I really like it. Kind of like grungy 80s style. This is another Shein one that I got. It's kind of like again an 80s kind of style to it. Quite sort of shaggy, non-lace front. Most of these ones in here I don't think are lace front. I like the fact that it's kind of a chocolate brown, because a lot of the browns I got are not this dark. But you can, it's a very sort of messy, shaggy brown wig, which I really like. Sometimes it's nice to just have a messy one and just throw it on. It reminds me a little bit of the slightly longer one, Spring Break from Lush, which is ginger, and that's got this kind of almost, it's almost like a crimpy texture to it, as if it's been put in lots of little plaits and then left to its own devices. This one is from an American site called Rockstar Wigs. It's an emo style wig and it's long and purple. It does have a mix of purple and pink in it, and it's got darker roots. So up close, I don't know if you can see it there, but there is pink through it as well. It is another non-lace front, but it is quite a nice quality one. It's a very heavy wig. It's got a lot of hair. I think I did thin it out slightly just because it was really heavy to wear. You can see what I mean about the emo style to it, because it's got that sort of long flicky emo fringe to it, and the long shaggy layers as well, which I really think suits this wig. It's quite a nice easy one to throw on as well, so you don't really have to do too much to it. I would actually wear this one out in public as well. This is a one from, it says it's from Jazzy Hair in London, and I think this is quite an older wig, so from when wigs were first about. It's got quite a large cap, which I really like, and although it's mainly brown and curly, dark brown, you can see there are chunks of highlights of caramel in it as well. The reason I can tell it's an older wig is by the texture of the hair. It feels more like fabric than a lot of them. It doesn't look it when you're wearing it, but in terms of the feel, you can tell that it's probably an earlier design. This is another Amazon Map of Beauty one. I've already shown one of these in a previous video that was ginger, which I used for Beverly from the film It, which was a cosplay wig. This one was again for cosplay, and the reason I got this one was so that I could do for doing Elle from Stranger Things. She has various different hairstyles, and when her hair first starts growing back in, I think it's the second series, when she comes back, it's just starting to go back to its own hair, which is really sort of curly and crazy, and it sticks up quite a lot because she's not got a lot of it from where it was originally shaved off. And so this wig is actually really good for that. I could also, because it's heat resistant, improve the curls on it, make them a little bit tighter and make it look like a retro wig if I wanted. This is another Lush wigs that I got. This one is called Denim. It's a blue wig, and it has got blue and grey through it as well, just to give it a bit more of a colour dimension from what I can see. While I do like the shade of blue on this one, I do think that because I've got a lot of wigs that are very similar to this, I will probably be getting rid of this one. I don't actually know where this one came from. I think I got it from an individual seller. It's not one of the really high quality wigs, but the style of it and the way it wears is really nice, even though it's not lace front. It's a short wig and it's just brown. I think it was a little bit longer when I got it, but because the curls were sort of all over the place, I did actually trim it, so I cut it, and it is heat resistant. But I like the fact that it's, again, it's that Albany brown shade, and you don't get many that are in lighter browns, and so when I get them I tend to keep them. Now, this is purely a costume wig. This is actually an official wig from the Monster High franchise, which I think was by Ruby's. Yes, it is. And this was for Cleo Denial, who's one of the characters. I did get it last year for the costume. It is a very basic cap, but the reason I wanted it was because it's got the glitter in it that the character has in her hair. I actually really like it. I love the glitter in it, it's quite cool. It takes a while to get it right, because with these sort of wigs they don't always sit quite as nicely because they are designed to be cheap. But since getting this one, I liked it so much that I've actually bought some hair extension in glitter so I can fit it into any of my wigs. So I'm going to give that a try at some point just to see what it looks like. It is removable in the ones that I've bought as well, so you can try it in, and if you don't like it, it just comes out. This was another one that was handmade from a seller. It does have a lace front, and it's a proper thick cap because it's one that they've done themselves. Now, it is heat resistant, but I do find with these ones you have to be careful, because if the heat is too high, it does actually fry the wig. I do find, I don't know whether it's a human hair mix, because it doesn't feel like normal synthetic hair. It almost feels a little bit like silk. I'm not really sure what the fabric is in it, whether it's like just a human mix or whether it's just a different kind of synthetic fabric that's been used on it. But I do find that getting the front bit's a little bit tricky with it. It sticks up almost like human hair. It doesn't like sit right in the same way that normal fabric wigs do. And it feels amazing. It looks great. But I would probably say that it's a human hair mix. I don't think that that is just fabric. It just doesn't feel the same. Now this is another Shein one. I bought this one because I had a very similar one that I got from Lush Wigs called Wicked, which has now been discontinued. But I made a real mess of the fringe when I cut it and essentially ruined it. And because the other one wasn't available, I thought I'd try this one instead. Now it is very, very shiny, and you can definitely tell that it's a cosplay wig. So I'm thinking that I might actually at some point get rid of this one. Either that or I need to work on trying to knock all the shine out of it, because it's incredibly shiny to the point it looks false. But the wig itself I really like. Another Lush Wigs. It's the same as the pink lemonade one but in blue. I did get it at the same time as the other one. It's a nice wig, but again I think I will probably get rid of this one, just because, as you've seen through my collection, I've got an awful lot of blue wigs. Another Shein one that I got. This is another little blonde bob, but where the other one was lighter, this one's actually got dark underneath it. It's still actually got the tag in it, and it was a hair cube one. I think I deliberately left the tag off so I could remember that it was a hair cube one, because I tend to forget where they're from. It's very much a short boy cut type one. Obviously I don't usually have the tag hanging out. It actually sits really nicely on your head as well. This is another one from Lush Wigs, and this is Lamort. It's a very straight black bob, which I really like. It's quite gothic in its appearance. There's a cosplay that I've been thinking of doing from Tron, and the hair is very similar to this but with blue in it. And so I have thought about getting some hair chalk and adding some blue for the costume, but we'll see if I get to do that. Last one for today is this grey wavy one. It's got a really long fringe to it, which I like. I think it's actually Lush Wigs Mist, I think it was called, thinking about it. It's a really nice grey. It's kind of like a dark grey, and I love the little waves on this one as well. I do have to pin the fringe right when I wear it, and this is why. But I didn't really want to cut a full fringe into it either. It could be worn as a full fringe, but I think it does suit it with the longer bangs better. I hope you've enjoyed another part of the wigs videos. I do have some more to show you from the last tub still. And then I've got the new ones to show you that came from Kesh and some from Vinted, I believe. And then I've got some more on the way from Shine as well. So there is plenty more to show you. I hope you're enjoying the videos. Again, like, subscribe, leave me comments, share the videos, just with anyone that's into the same sort of thing. It's also a good thing to show people, because if they are on a budget, it shows nice wigs that are cheaper, so that you're not having to pay a fortune all the time, because it is expensive to buy a good quality wig. And if you do suffer from hair loss, that can be quite a traumatic part of actually having the hair loss. I am very fortunate that I don't, but I am aware of people who are in that situation, and so I try to help with my videos so that I can give them some advice and let them see the wigs up close. So if anyone has any questions to do with the wigs, by all means do drop me a message and I'll try and answer them. Thanks, take care, see you again.